Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It's time now for Links in the Chain, where we take a look at some of the use cases in the blockchain ecosystem. After Iran suffered devastating floods this spring that left 78 dead, injured over 1,000 people, and displaced close to an additional 300,000 others, the Iranian Red Crescent Society said the United States sanctions on the country were impeding its relief efforts. The lack of available funds meant many were going without the help they needed, and this is where cryptocurrencies offer a potential saving grace. The solution? Zcoin, a privacy coin that can facilitate totally untraceable wealth transfers. And I speak now with COO Ruben Yap and Operation Manager Sebastian Mack. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be on.
All right, so to kick things off, can you just explain a little bit about this project from your perspective, talk through some of the key features and elements of the project as it stands?
Well, with the Zcoin project, I mean, we, primarily focus as a privacy coin. We allow people to destroy their coins and then redeem them for brand new ones with no previous transaction history. So I guess the general idea is that like cash, when I'm paying someone, I'm not giving any additional details about myself. Like, if I'm paying for a cup of coffee, I don't necessarily want to let them know that, I have 100 Bitcoin or so. And I think that's basically us in a nutshell, where we want to protect financial privacy on the blockchain.
Okay, and speaking to this specific project in Iran, what can you tell us about Zcoin's role and what's happening there?
Well,
So,
our role.
yeah, you go ahead. Yep.
Okay, our role in it is that we're one accepted payment method of the project. Maybe to step back a bit and to introduce the project first, it's an effort by some people who are in the Tehran tech scene and the cryptocurrency scene there, who have seen this solution that there's still aid money on the level of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies that could not be delivered to Iran yet. And they, just working in crypto, they just saw the obvious solution what could be done there. And so they, initiated this project so that funds could be transferred to help people.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I mean, so many coins out there are looking for use cases. They're looking for that prime place of where they can be used functionally within a wider economic ecosystem. Now here, Zcoin seems to have found itself a very clear and particular use case. Talk us through why Zcoin specifically is so useful in this case over, say, Bitcoin, for example, which has obviously much wider liquidity and more widely traded. Why use Zcoin?
You want to talk about that, Sebastian?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you pointed to it. It's a really obvious use case for a crypto, because when you talk about crypto to people who aren't as involved in crypto, then usually they would say stuff like, "Oh yeah, that sounds interesting, but why can't you just use PayPal or something, right?" And then here now we have a very obvious crypto use case that where crypto is the only way to actually make transactions like that. So that's the crypto aspect. And then the privacy aspect, of course, is that, we believe in privacy being a fundamental right, and donations also reveal something about your privacy, whether it is political donations or if it's, donations to your church or flood relief efforts in this case.
One of the things that we actually find interesting is that although we offer privacy, we are also offering transparency, and that's one of the key benefits of a cryptocurrency. Because if you go to their website, when you do a transaction on Zcoin, the whole world can see that transaction has gone to that address. So that means, they can't secretly hide that they're receiving funds. And you can't really do that as seamlessly on the blockchain. As seamlessly in traditional methods where, you have to go through bank accounts and many, many intermediaries. Here, right live, if you donate on the Iran Rescue by Bit website, you immediately see yes, that transaction has gone to this address. And that means that this organization has to account for that money that has gone in. So it's a really good mixture of transparency and accountability that is enabled by cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And at the same time, privacy and the ability to donate the causes that they believe in and want to help without any sort of restrictions. And that's where the privacy comes in. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask as well, I mean, obviously this use case for humanitarian assistance in Iran, many would applaud the use of cryptocurrencies in this case in accessing an area that has difficulty with other financial assets and services. That being said, Iran has been sanctioned by the United States, and politics aside of whether we agree with anyone agrees with those decisions or not, the fact is there are sanctions being put on place on Iran by the United States. And now humanitarian assistance under international law cannot be sanctioned, but the fact is that many would argue that by using this sort of privacy coin and using cryptocurrencies, you risk circumventing the international order of sanctions and standards. What would you guys say to critics who would say that your coin is helping to facilitate making your way around some of these in-place sanctions?
I mean, I would say that I definitely understand where you're coming from, especially when people are talking about potential terrorist funding or money laundering. Our view of that is that actually in its current state, if all these privacy coins are banned and whatnot, basically liquidity actually flows into this decentralized darknet markets. But if they are regulated, if you want to trade Zcoin at any sort of large volumes, to make some sort of huge dent, you would need to go through regulated exchanges that do KYC or OTC markets that require KYC. In that case, sanctions and all those would still be in play. But here, these are not very large amounts of money. This is not the first time that Zcoin has been used for donations. Zcoin has been used to donate for lunches for school children in Africa. It's also been used in Bali to help the Lombok earthquakes. So yes, definitely in this case, there is additional maybe reason to use Zcoin, but I think those other use cases shows that cryptocurrencies are really, really well suited, especially for this type of situations. And I think it's a good combination and balance of privacy and transparency there. Yeah.
And similarly, I suppose I got to ask as well. I mean, we talk about its use case here in this particular case and in other instances, but what sort of dollar figures are we talking about? Do we know how much is being raised in these specific cases, whether in the Iran case or in the other sort of humanitarian cases that you mentioned there? Are significant figures being raised with Zcoin? Are people actually using it? And is this sort of something that's being adopted by many in the areas who are trying to help with these particular humanitarian causes?
Yeah, right now the total sum of donations raised by this initiative in particular are really a drop in the ocean. It's only getting started. But we can say that Zcoin is actually the cryptocurrency that has been used for the biggest part of the donation. So they have a leaderboard that they post on Twitter, and right now we're in first place there.
I think it's 1,000 USD, so it's actually right now it's not a huge amount. But for example, with previous efforts in Lombok, it was also a couple of thousand USD. The charity to in the lunches for children there, I think was maybe I think that was the largest one, which was about 20 over 1,000 USD, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess especially spread over a long period, this amounts are not very large, but they do make a difference when it's coming to food, basic care. And I think it's really cool that cryptocurrencies have really found a use here. Yeah.
With cryptocurrencies sort of gauging the eyes of more regulators now aware of the crypto industry as a whole, do you guys at Zcoin have any greater concerns that perhaps you might fall under the ire of certain regulators around the world, given the fact that you're working in these areas where there are sanctions in place and there are certain regulatory issues? Do you think that Zcoin has any risks there?
I definitely think so, especially as a privacy coin. I mean, we've been always been made the scapegoat for a bunch of things that may not even be in relation to privacy. And for example, just a really common there was a coin chat hack in Japan, and what actually happened was a cryptocurrency called NEM was hacked, or rather the exchange was hacked. And what happened there was lots and lots of money was lost, but it was first of all not the fault of the cryptocurrency, and it was more the fault of the exchange. And privacy coins were not even used in that in that whole entire transaction or hack, but somehow Japan used that as a scapegoat to actually ban privacy coins. Now, of course, there are concerns as to the illicit use of cryptocurrencies, but that actually happens right now very easily with cash as well. And if you take a look at the largest perpetrators of money laundering, terrorist funding are through the traditional systems. And I don't feel that cryptocurrencies necessarily make it any easier than currently possible. But the idea is that we are already reaching to a world that, especially where digital cash is becoming quite the norm, especially in China and even in Southeast Asia. You see the great uptake of this digital currency, and yet they don't actually offer any privacy. Suddenly we're giving governments full view of how every citizen is possibly spending. And I mean, I think past has shown that governments aren't always benevolent. We have to be, mindful of our privacy rights, and that's why countries like Germany and Japan still, although they're really advanced, they still really keep, really protect their cash. The right to have cash very stringently, and that's not because they want to, do illegal things. It's because they see privacy as a basic right, and we want to bring privacy to digital cash as well. Yeah.
All right, and looking forward, I mean, here you have your use case. You've had a few already, as you said. Looking forward for Zcoin, what do you see potential future cases? Are you just looking out for further humanitarian situations which you can resolve, or is there a wider development process in play?
We actually recently had quite a major breakthrough in Thailand, which we hope we can replicate in the region as well, where we actually allowed, basically widespread adoption of Zcoin, where you can spend Zcoin at over 5 million merchants in Thailand, utilizing a national QR code system. Of course, merchants receive a Thai baht, but it was a great way to make Zcoin usable and spendable there. And for that system alone, potentially 40-50 million people straight away can use cryptocurrencies to pay for almost anything, and we'll probably be showcasing that as well. And of course, we were one of the first, I think probably the first currency to actually do widespread political elections, where we helped the Thai Democrat Party have 128,000 votes on the blockchain to select its new party head leader. And there are many use cases in that, and we're still looking for additional utilities, especially in the DeFi, being able to use Zcoin as collateral for loans, or allowing people to build their own stable coins, or like a Libra with privacy features on our chain. So I do think that it's really exciting when we're combining the potential of cryptocurrencies while providing privacy guarantees as well. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, it sounds like there's a lot coming in the future for Zcoin, very interesting projects, and as I say, always interesting to see a coin with a real use case being put to use in the real world. Not always the case throughout the crypto sphere, so good to see when it does happen. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming to speak with us at BLOCKTV and break down a little bit about this project in particular and what's happening with Zcoin as a whole. In the meantime, I'm Asher Westrop Evans, and stay with us at blocktv.com for all the latest in news and information. Thanks for watching.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.